Welcome to episode number 288 of the Marine Layer podcast. It's our mailbag episode, so we'll open it up and answer your guys' best listener questions. We'll also talk about the hot streak of Eugenio Suarez. Over the past homestand, he really is back to being Gino.
Your guys' reminder, stay on top of all of our stuff. You can go over to our website to find everything. You can find all our episodes, which if you're listening to these, make sure to download, leave those reviews. Please rate and review 5 stars. Like we said, we love to see the Apple Podcast reviews continue to grow and go up and see what you guys have to say about the show. That's always good feedback. We can read it. We can laugh about it. So go send those reviews. They're really fun. And sometimes it's genuine feedback to know what we could do differently, keep the same, what you guys like, all that good stuff. You can also like, comment, and please hit subscribe over on YouTube. If you're over at our website, you can find our merch. You can get Patreon priority, signing up for our Patreon and our live show schedule. That's all over at marinelayerpod.com. And find us across social media everywhere at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. One run from Jansen. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment. Tie ball game is 7-7.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network. Recording on Thursday evening, August 28th. I was thinking about this on the off day, Lyle. There's been some more discussion on some other platforms, including Brock and Salk this morning on Thursday and some other mornings as well. What do we think the approval rating is on our Vetter Cup take?
Split, but you know what? I got a lot of people on our side. Or I should say we got a lot of people on our side. So I will not be wavering from it. You will not be wavering from it. This podcast will not be wavering from it. One trophy matters. End of story.
We're not out on an island, which is good.
No, I had a lot of people on Brock and Salk that were on my side about it because Salk was saying I'm anti-fun, and we had a bunch of people in our comments trying to call us Karens. But then I saw a lot of people on the text line for Brock and Salk that were saying the same thing I was saying. This is dumb. Eddie Vedder wasn't even a Mariners fan. He wasn't even a Padres fan. The guy is a Cubs fan, paired with the fact that you are giving out a trophy for regular season wins. And, you know what we didn't even talk about on Wednesday's podcast because we saw the news about it after we recorded? They're giving out an MVP of the Vedder Cup, which went to Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh doesn't need the MVP anymore. He's the Vedder Cup MVP.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think that's on his mantle?
You know what we should do? We should really pull a pardon my take here with the MVP, which if anybody remembers that playoff football game on Nickelodeon a few years ago when the Bears lost, pardon my take got everybody together since it was a fan vote. It's like, everybody vote for Mitch Trubisky to be the MVP despite the Bears losing this game, and everybody got in on the joke, voted for him, and he actually got the trophy, and the Nickelodeon broadcast actually had to go into the losing locker room and present it to him. What if we all
playoff game?
What if we all combined together to vote for Dylan Moore?
That would be pretty funny. Where do we think he is? You have to get on a plane to go find him?
Oh, you didn't see? He signed a deal with the Rangers.
Oh, wait, no, I did see that. So they'd have to fly to Arlington, and then as Rowdy Tellez is giving Demo a hug from behind, hand the trophy to Dylan Moore.
And Sam Haggerty.
Yeah. And Brett Boone might be there for the shits and gigs.
Yeah. or if you want to pick somebody that's on the team, considering where our allegiances lie on this podcast, we could get everybody together to give it to Logan Evans. Considering the man did throw, 7 shutout against the Padres in that series?
I'm down. Give it to him.
Yeah. Yes. You know what? If the people want to vote for Logan Evans to win the Vetter Cup MVP, I will sit here and declare the Vetter Cup now relevant.
Congratulations, Logan. You are the Vetter Cup MVP of the Marine Layer podcast.
It's facts.
Congratulations. Facts. What a great award.
It is.
Here's our trophy. Oh, wait, no, we don't have one because we got to keep consistent with our trophy stance.
Yes. Only one matters.
Only a name. Yeah. Only a name will Logan have the Vetter Cup MVP trophy.
I was happy to see that there were people on our side about this.
Was there a like, I know they have the team trophy. Do they have the trophy? Do they have a trophy for the individual MVP of the Vetter Cup?
I don't know. But, actually, well, Cal held up the guitar, right?
He did, but that was the team's trophy.
I don't know. The whole thing's dumb. You know what's more important? The Mariners won 2-3 against the Padres. That's what they needed to do.
Yeah, and we didn't acknowledge this last time, and I'll say, like, the charity aspect of this is always very good. That was never in question for some people mentioning that part. Yeah, it's for charity. The charity's great. You can do all the charity and all the Vetter Cup branding and stuff like we talked about on Wednesday's episode without the trophy. I thought, you know what would be a cool idea? I'd have no problem with this. You make, like, an Eddie Vedder-themed trophy every single year, and you auction it off to a fan or something, and the proceeds go to charity. Doesn't that sound good? Otherwise, like, that beautiful guitar is just going to be sitting somewhere. It's like, great.
Our comments are going to be great again on this episode. It's going to be, how did you guys spend another 6 minutes starting the episode again bitching about the Vetter Cup?
Welcome to Mariners baseball, everybody. This is our life.
TJ is right. If this was just a charity thing and fans wanted to run with this and fans wanted to make merch about it and fans wanted to talk about it, that'd be totally fine. That's why I never had an issue with the whole Maple Grove thing. I thought it was really cool because that was a fan idea. It was fans that started that.
And that's where you and Salk are different on that.
Yeah, Salk hates the Maple Grove. But when you are like parading about it on social media via Major League Baseball, making these ridiculous graphics about how you won the Vetter Cup, that's where you lose me. No, I'd like to hear about how the Mariners won important games against the Padres and leave it at that, not the Vetter Cup trophy.
It's mostly the trophy.
Yeah.
I can't get over the trophy.
That's what makes it bad. And they had a whole showing of it on the field, and all these media people are taking pictures, and it's like, what? Like, so TJ made a joke the other day. We didn't quite get to it, but TJ did want to ask a couple of the players in passing. So, how do you feel about the Vetter Cup trophy?
I can't believe we didn't get to ask them. And now it's going to be off their minds by the time they get back.
TJ,
we had a chance to ask Padres, too, and we didn't. It's like, imagine going up to Manny Machado. He's been a Padre for 6 years now.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. It's seventh year.
Seventh year Padre, Manny Machado. Longer tenure than, I think, every single Seattle Mariner. Walk up to Manny, who we did get on our other account, Bullpen Banner, by the way. We'll have that content coming out sometime soon, I would imagine. And ask Manny, so, hype for the Vetter Cup?
You wanted to make a joke and ask Jake Cronenworth about it, and you said, not on the mic, but you were like, so, how are you guys feeling about losing the Vetter Cup?
We were actually chopping it up with Cronenworth for a little while, so it like could have come up in discussion a little bit easier. Manny had to run inside, so that wasn't as much of sit there and chit-chat. But Cronenworth was super cool, by the way. So I was like, all right, this would have been a cool opportunity to be like, literally as he was walking away, Lyle, that was going to be my next question. It was going to be, last question, Jake, do you guys care about the Vetter Cup?
The answer was going to be no. I'll save you the time and Jake Cronenworth's time and answer for you. The answer is no.
No. There's some good aspects of it, but I just can't get over the trophy. I can't do it.
Eddie Vedder is a Cubs fan. I didn't even know that part because I barely know who Eddie Vedder is. But once I learned that, I was like, I'm done. I was already done to begin with, but I'm done. But you know what? In all seriousness, shout out Jake Cronenworth. He is apparently a Bullpen Banner fan, so shout out to him.
Shout out Jake Cronenworth. Yeah. Hey, if he needs a Mariners podcast, we have him covered too.
It's true. Shout out Jacob Wilson, another Bullpen Banner fan. So yeah, it's cool.
Those are two awesome guys we met this last week. So super cool to see our work get recognized like that. But yeah, I think that's enough on the Vetter Cup. Otherwise, Lyle, I think people might send us like a cease and desist on the Vetter Cup.
We just spent another 9 minutes on this again.
Let's talk about something actually productive. How do we talk about Gino? I thought he was cooked.
Speaking of social media discourse, this is why you have to let things play out. When you trade for a guy that's hit nearly 40 homers at the trade deadline and he has his first true cold 10, 12, 15 game stretch of the year, the reaction should not ever be, this was a mistake. Because now over Gino's last 15 games, he's OPSing near 900. I think he's all right, you guys.
I vividly remember the first week of the Geno trade. I did read a tweet being like, by the way, Tyler Locklear's outproducing Geno. Just saying. Holding my hands up. Tyler Locklear's been very productive. Since that point now, with the last homestand, Geno is easily outpacing Tyler Locklear. For those of you worried about trading Tyler Locklear away, I think Geno's doing just fine now. Listen to this homestand, or listen to since the first homestand that Geno played here in Seattle, where he was awful. He had like a 37% strikeout rate. His WRC plus was negative, only hit 1 home run. Since that point, he's walking over 10% of the time. He's got a 161 WRC plus. He's hit 5 home runs. This man is now actually tracking for 50 home runs. When he was really cold during that stretch, I raised an eyebrow wondering if you'd be able to find it back enough to get to 50 home runs. Now I feel like he's getting to 50 home runs and that the Mariners are going to be the second team ever to have 2 50-homer players. That's what I feel pretty good about.
So I was going to quiz you on this, but sounds like you already know the answer.
Oh, I know the answer.
I'll let our listeners sit and think about it here for a minute if you just want to stir it up in your head. If Geno and Cal both get to 50 homers, and Cal's obviously already there, they would be the second duo on the same team to each combine for 50 homers in a year. The only other duo to do that was 1961, Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. That's it. Now, it's a little
famous
different.
Season?
What's that?
I said, is that a famous season?
Well, a little bit, considering Roger Maris hit 61.
Yeah, and Mickey Mantle set the switch-hitting home run record. 2 records set, by the way.
Could you imagine Cal breaks both of those? Both set in 1 year. And one player breaks both of them in 25. That'd be nuts.
The Yankees have no reason to ever talk shit about the Mariners ever again. We own your records.
Think about this, dog. 1961 sparked the eventual toxicity of Roger Maris Jr.
Unfortunately.
Very, very unfortunate.
I wouldn't have had to block him if 1961 never existed.
God.
By the way, Tyler Locklear has not played very well in Arizona. He's got a 54 WRC plus. So
he's got a lot of time, but yes, if you're talking about what has happened and what the production looked like since the trade, yeah, of course.
Within the first 3 days, somebody notable on Mariners Twitter tweeted out, this might have been a mistake. Make objectively the best move of the deadline, trading for the best bat at the deadline, and someone's still going to be mad about it.
It really is a cesspool. Now, I will say this. Really quick note on the teammates that have 50 home runs. This one would be a little bit different because obviously the majority of Geno's home runs are not going to be hit in Seattle this year. But to only be the second pair of teammates to have that record is still crazy.
I don't know how they qualify that record. I still give it to them. That's fine.
I would too.
I mean, he still hit all the home runs.
Yeah.
Just the Mariners have the opportunity of trading. That was before free agency, wasn't it? When did free agency start?
In 1961?
Yeah, 1972 is when free agency started in Major League Baseball. So, like, the players couldn't even leave teams back then unless they were traded, like Babe Ruth. Like, that's it. So I guess there was a little bit less of an opportunity in that sense to do anything. But Geno, man, just to have that record in the Seattle record books in this ballpark this year, that's pretty amazing. And you know what else is really good about this? Geno did it at the exact time when his other teammates were struggling. We were praising Cole Young a bunch, and he deserves a lot of praise for what he's done since he's come up. Over that same stretch, Cole Young has a WRC plus in the 30s that Geno has a 161. Randy Arozarena has a 42 WRC plus. Josh Naylor has a 75, and J.P. Crawford has a 79. That's about half of your lineup just not producing at all. They were producing when Geno was cold. Now when they're cold, Geno's going to step in and produce as well. This is why you build a deep lineup. Yeah. Deep lineup allows you to still be a good offensive team despite half your lineup just kind of shrugging and not doing much and in a cold streak.
Because when you have good players that will inevitably struggle throughout periods of a year, you have other guys that can pick him up at the same time, like you're saying. Cole Young especially. When you're a first-year player and a really good prospect that's still going to make some adjustments in the big leagues, we saw how hot he was for a while, and then, okay, he had 10, 15 games where he was a little cold. Even Randy Arozarena, who we know is streaky. Okay, he was really hot, and then he had a couple of games where he was cold. But when you have Gino who picks him up, and Cal who picks him up, and Julio who picks him up, Julio's homestand was just okay. It wasn't terrible by any means, but he didn't have any extra base hits in the 6 games at home. Regardless, not the point. Because Julio's had a really good second half. This is why, to your point, you build lineups like this. Because you can be productive at all points of time when certain players are hot and certain players can carry an offense for 10, 12, 15 game stretches, and then somebody else will pick it up. It's not like the lineup they basically rolled out at the start of the year, which was the whole Julio problem to begin with, where all this ridiculous pressure is put on him to carry the team, and when he's not doing that, well, then once you get past Julio, you have Rowdy Tellez and Donovan Solano and Dylan Moore.
That's 900 OPS Rowdy Tellez to you, Lyle.
Oh, my bad, I forgot. Did he do that with Seattle? Oh, no, he didn't.
He did not. Did you know he's still listed as the primary first baseman on Baseball Reference? I'd like whiplash today.
I mean, that makes sense. Josh Naylor's only played a month of games here.
I know. Still.
Donovan Solano and Rowdy Tellez for 4 months.
Well, they could have signed Carlos Santana signed Carlos Santana, who was also cut today. Didn't have a much better season.
And by all reports, the Mariners offered more money than the Guardians did to bring him here.
Yeah. Well, it would have been good. I think he had a WRC plus of about 86.
This is why you don't set $15 million budgets. All right, let's move on because the team's playing really well. Yes, when the offense is hot, you have multiple guys that can carry it at different times. That's why the Mariners offense post-deadline has had so much success. Well, I guess aside from the road trip. That you have had different guys carry the offense at different points of the last month, which is what deep lineups do. Like, when everybody's hot at once, great. Then you're a world beater and truly unstoppable, which will also happen at stretches of the year. But there's periods of time that have certain players hot when others aren't that still lead to wins and still leads to offensive production and runs scored.
I don't even think we've seen the best version of this lineup yet. We saw a really good homestand, but otherwise, I think there's a lot more left in the tank. We have our first mailbag question. I'm not going to read the question yet, and we'll get into the whole mailbag here in a little bit. But it is related to the lineup, and I have some numbers down for this new look Mariners lineup after the deadline. You look at the lineup, you see all the talent in it. You see, like, this should be a top 5 lineup in baseball. They should be scoring a ton of runs. Since the deadline, Lyle, this lineup is 15th in runs, 18th in on-base percentage, 17th in slug, and 14th in WRC+. Usually they get a boost in WRC+ because of the ballpark. In this case, they did not. Do those numbers sound right to you? Like, it feels a little low for this lineup, but that's what they've done since the deadline.
It does feel low. I think that also speaks to the road trip they just had. I think a lot of that is brought down by the road trip. Because obviously at home, for the home stretch before that, they were great. And this past home series, they were good. Not perfect, but good.
Which is a reason why I say there's still a lot left in the tank for this offense. Of seeing 4 straight weeks of this and seeing the ground they can cover hitting like that for 4 weeks. What does the division lead look like if you do that for 4 weeks? What does the wild card look like if you do that for 4 weeks? Heck, if they have, in the 28 games remaining in the season, those 4 great weeks of offense, the Mariners are winning this division. They don't have to worry about the wild card. They're going out there and they're winning the division if the lineup stays healthy and hits like it did for that homestand for 4 straight weeks. That's it. That's all they need. And they'll go out and they'll be as successful as they want to be. We've still seen a little bit of the streakiness of it, though. As you said, the hot and cold is able to be offset by certain players. I think what you see from this is that you see a lineup be 17th with guys cold as opposed to 27th, which is what we got last year.
And that's a massive improvement. Massive, massive improvement. If they were the 17th best offense last year, they easily get into the playoffs.
Yeah. So shout out Gino. He's hot. This is what the Mariners paid for in a trade. I also love that he's walking. He wasn't walking as much in Arizona, but this stretch where he's up at about 11%, I do love to see that because that was something he was really good at when he's in Seattle the last time. One last thing to note before the mailbag, Lyle. Just want to get a take from you on this. Ryan Bliss got activated today, and he's down in a rehab assignment. He's, I'd imagine, going to get the Victor Robles runway of rehab assignment play. Is there any way he's on this roster in September?
I would be pretty surprised. Well, he didn't technically get activated because he's still on the IL. He's just on a rehab assignment.
He got sent out on a rehab assignment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the words.
Yeah. I would be surprised, number one, because it's been so long since he's played. He only played a couple handfuls of games in April before he got hurt. Paired with, feels like Cole Young's job pretty steadily now, right? I like Ryan Bliss a lot. And he's a great dude, and we root for him, and he's obviously got potential. But if you're talking about the remainder of 2025, it feels like the Mariners have a vision of what their roster is going to be. Cole Young's going to be the second baseman. They'll probably call up one of the utility guys in September for the extra man on the roster, or Ben Williamson. And those are all the spots, right? I don't know where Bliss exactly fits in, considering it's been a long time since he's played this year, and he only plays one position.
It really hurts him that he's only a second baseman. If he could play short like he did in college, or third base, then that would help him out a little bit for his case, because then you can say, all right, the Mariners need right-handed hitters to face lefties, as they've told us. They want to get a little more balanced against lefties when they're on the mound. But since he can't play anywhere else, you'd probably just have Ben instead. Ben, by the way, continues to mash in Tacoma. He's hitting almost 400 since going down to Tacoma, which is not bad. I don't see how Bliss can find his way onto the roster. I don't see it. There's just not enough versatility there to make that worth it. And we've seen good spurts with him with his bat, but it's not proven enough at the big league level to just assure him that there's a spot there.
And he has the physical ability to play shortstop, obviously, because he did it in college, he did it in the minors, but he has not played an inning of shortstop defensively in the big leagues. He's taken infield reps there, both pregame when he's been rehabbing. We've seen him at the field taking ground balls at both short and second. I remember we even saw him taking a little bit of reps at third base back in spring training. So I'm sure in a pinch, if he had to do it, he could do it. But the idea that he'd start there on a somewhat regular basis once or twice a week probably isn't something the Mariners are going to do down the final run of September, where they have most of their roster set in stone. So I'm not saying Ryan Bliss won't find a way onto the roster in 2026, especially if he's healthy, especially if he plays well. But I guess it's hard to imagine it would happen this year. I would guess he'll get his long, full rehab assignment down in Tacoma for the 21 days. And then once that comes to an end, the Rainiers season will be close to over by that point. So maybe he'd technically be activated onto Tacoma's roster for a few days. But I think for the most part, he'll just rehab the rest of the year.
But they would have to option him to Tacoma no matter what if he's not on the big league roster, even if Tacoma's not playing.
Has he? No, he hasn't been optioned at any point this year. I wonder if they almost put him back on the IL for the final 2 days of Tacoma's season so they don't have to burn an option with him.
But they would have to activate him when the season's over, because they can't IL him the entire offseason.
Well, he's still on the 40, man. I don't think that matters.
Well, it depends. When does the league year end? Like, if they could game the system.
Oh, yeah.
To keep him on.
Sorry, you're right. That would probably be too long.
Yeah. So he would need to. They would burn an option.
Right.
So, but I don't think that's the end of the world, because again, you look at your roster. There's nowhere to put him. So you just got to do it.
Yeah. All right, quick pause before we get to the mailbag. Let's talk to you guys about our friends over at Pagach's Pub 85. That's over in Kirkland. You guys know it's an awesome spot. There's 20 TVs in the place to watch games with college football starting this weekend. Well, it already started last weekend, but it really gets going this weekend. NFL's almost here. Baseball's in the final month of the year. This is the pinnacle of the sports calendar. So if you guys want a place to go watch some games and hang out with your friends, head over there. And there's awesome food. There's things like pool and darts inside the restaurant and bar. It's really fun. And if you go during happy hour, drink specials that are just can't beat, you guys. They're $3 and $4 from 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday happy hours. Again, $3 to $4 drinks. Those are awesome deals. All of that is over at Pagach's Pub 85 in Kirkland.
Let's get to the mailbag, and a reminder to all of you that if you want to be featured on our mailbag, the best place to go to get mailbag priority is our Patreon. Patreon members who sign up get mailbag access, like our question, or mailbag access, mailbag priority, like all of our questions today. If you really do want your question heard, yeah, you can risk it on Instagram or YouTube, and if we have an extra slot, we'll pick your question there. But if you want for sure your question to be answered, Patreon's the way to go. That's patreon.com/MarineLayerPod. You get ad-free episodes as well. If you upgrade to the top tier, you get a monthly video call with Lyle and I. It's a great opportunity to help support us and get more from us as well. So if that's something that interests you, patreon.com/MarineLayerPod. Let's go to Josh first on Patreon, Lyle. And the question is, how would you revamp this batting order heading into September? Josh says he'd love to see Naylor batting leadoff over Randy.
Personally, I don't think I'd revamp it. I get that Naylor's stealing bases, which is great, and I hope he keeps doing it. But I think Randy is such a perfect modern-day leadoff hitter in terms of what fits that prototype. The George Springer type leadoff hitter. Power, speed, can walk, gets on base. If you want to look at some non-baseball factors outside of the box score, just the energy he immediately provides at the top of the order, the threat he imposes at the top of the order. Not that Naylor doesn't, but people take Randy very seriously anytime he steps to the plate, especially if he's leading off a baseball game. So if it's up to me, I actually really like the way the lineup's structured.
I also wouldn't revamp the lineup, but let's do the exercise. Let's mock revamp the lineup. Let's put Naylor in the leadoff spot. How would we go after that?
I guess they've been hitting Cal second a lot ahead of Julio. And a lot of times these days in baseball, the best hitter does hit second rather than third. So sure, we can keep it like that. We can go Naylor, Cal, Julio, Gino Rando.
Fourth?
Yeah, Gino Did I say Gino Randy? Yeah, Gino, then Randy. You would have Polanco 6.
I'd honestly put Polanco up at 5 to break up the righties. The thing I worry about if you lead Naylor off is you're creating unfavorable pockets for yourself in the lineup. And pocket, by the way, when we're referencing that, that means you have X amount of X handiness hitters in a row. The problem I run into with this lineup, as you keep going, Lyle, I'll finish off the lineup for you because I wrote down a mock one. The bottom three are pretty much the same. So you have Polanco 5, Randy 6, Canzone, JP Cole 7, 8, 9. The problem with that lineup is you have 4 lefties in a row. That leaves you vulnerable for a bullpen decision late in the game with some ace left-handed reliever. Like who is the Padres reliever whose name is escaping me, who's just diabolical against lefties?
Yeah, it's Adrian Morejon, who was an all-star this year.
Right. That guy. Like, imagine if you run into him. It's over if he's facing your lefties. So that's what that lineup leaves you a little bit vulnerable for, as opposed to Randy, it's only 3 in a row instead of 4.
Right.
And if you even want to break it up more, Cal's a switch hitter, but say you want to break up righty Julio and Gino, you hit Julio second and Cal third.
Is that something for the Mariners to consider in terms of actually revamping a lineup in September? If we're talking this through here, and if we keep what they've been doing for the most part the same, with Randy, then Cal, then Julio, then Naylor, then Gino, so that's the first 5. Is there some thought to putting JP 6th? I know he hasn't hit as well as of late, but JP 6th and then Polanco 7th, and then you go Canzone, Canzone and Cole Young, just so it's 2 lefties in a row rather than 3 in a row. It just feels like come playoff time, that's the easiest decision for an opposing manager in the world to say, oh, if that pocket's coming up, we're going to our best lefty.
Could be. The problem is Polanco as a quote-unquote right-handed hitter is not much these days.
That's true. Yeah, so you one way or another.
Technically, he can hit right-handed, but his production right-handed has not been otherworldly.
Yeah, I guess either way, they're going to be left a little bit exposed in that way. You can't have a perfect lineup for the most part, but that is the one thing you look at with this lineup is when you get to the bottom, it does make for some decently easy decisions out of a opposing manager and deploying his bullpen.
The handiness factor, I would say, Josh, makes more sense having a Rosarena up at the top rather than Naylor. Both are fine options for what you would want out of a leadoff hitter. Like if you talk about the stolen bases or the on-base threat or the potential to hit for some average or the power, both have it. But from a handiness perspective, I like Randy out there. So you can split it up. You have your best hitter second. Then you have a righty in Julio. You have a lefty in Naylor. You have a righty in Gino. And then you can have Polanco as a switch hitter and then the three lefties to finish it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with that. I buy into that.
Thank you for the question, Josh. The next question also comes on Patreon. This one's from Graham. And Graham asks, Castillo has again not had a great August, and his velocity is notably down. Do you still see him? Do you still see him as a trade or trade target to trade away?
My opinion on this has not wavered. I think Luis Castillo is most likely not in a Mariners uniform in 2026. His numbers just continue to regress. If you look at the underlying stuff under the hood, a lot of it's dropped again this year, and there were things for him to clean up in 2025. And there were things that, again, dropped. His barrel rate, for example, his opposing barrel rate and how hard opposition is hitting the ball against him, it already wasn't in a good spot last year. It's dropped another 20% this year. So he's getting hit even harder again. He's striking way less guys out this year. You saw that he hasn't had a great August, like Graham just mentioned. And we already know that the Mariners were in real trade talks this offseason to potentially deal him away. I think if the Mariners had gotten a somewhat satisfactory return this past winter, they might have even done it then. And if you go back and listen to our podcast episode that we did about a month and a half ago with Jared Carabas, he gave some intel into how much Boston was interested and some of the talks that were going on behind the scenes there, which made it sound like they were decently serious. So, how close that really got, I don't know. But it just feels to me like with Gerangelo getting close and with Cade Anderson having the potential to shoot through the system next year and with Castillo continuing to regress and the fact that his no trade clause expires on January 1st, feels like to me he is probably in another uniform next year.
I'm in the same boat as you, but instead of repeat that, let me play devil's advocate here. What if the Mariners think April of next year they don't have a pitcher in their organization they're more confident in to fill that rotation spot than Luis Castillo? Then what?
I would say Luis Castillo making $23 million a year versus Logan Evans making league minimum isn't going to be that drastic a difference. And if the Mariners want to go do things like re-sign Josh Naylor, potentially re-sign Gino, potentially go make other moves this winter, they may feel like they need to clear a little bit of money. And I would say the glaring spot to do that would be trying to free up Castillo's contract.
The money part is the biggest part of all this. Yeah, because you could talk about Logan Evans versus Luis Castillo all day, but what it really comes down to is the ability to save 25, 22 next year. What's the specific number? 24? However much money they can get off the books with him, which, by the way, if you clear all of that, you're probably not getting much of anything back, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Or you eat half the money and do try to get something back, because if you take on a portion of the salary, you could get something real potentially back. Because there's teams out there that would view him as still a number 2 or 3 type starter, probably more like a number 3 at this point, but needs starting pitching and could get a potential return. I still look at the Orioles, for example.
You know he could go somewhere and be productive. It's like, it's not that he hasn't been productive this year. It's just he hasn't been great. And you have so many options, and you need that money to be spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Not in the rotation.
Again, by next year, at some point during the summer, Gerangelo may very well be ready, and there's a world Cade Anderson's ready. We'll see how aggressive they get with him, but there is a world both those guys are ready. And I just don't see how that works with Luis Castillo still being here.
It's a fair point. Next Patreon question comes from Xander, and Xander's question is, who gets the ball game 1 of the postseason? I can see arguments for both Wu and Gilbert. And let's say everyone's fully rested.
Who gets a game 1 start? At the start of the year, the easy answer would have been Logan Gilbert. It has to be Brian Wu now, right? If you're serious about getting out ahead of a series lead game one on who's been your most consistent and dominant arm this year, it's Wu. Wu's going to give you length. He doesn't give up hard contact. He's been dominant all season. This is not a knock on Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert would pitch game 2, but I'm going with Brian Wu in game 1.
Yeah, I'm going with Brian Wu too. I think he sets you up best for the rest of the series because out of all the guys in your rotation, he's most likely going to go 6, which alleviates your bullpen, leaves you better rested for the rest of the series. And he's just been flat out better this year. I think you ride the hot hand of this season rather than looking at seasons past to make evaluations. If you want to look at this with a little bit more of a microscope and want to say, what do you want out of the start? Like, Wu's been better this year. Who has a higher upside total? I think it's Logan Gilbert. But if you just want, look, this guy's been way better this year, I want him starting. Yeah, it's Brian Wu. But you know what? You know what's the best thing about all this? The Mariners are going to have a kick-ass game 2 and game 3 starter as well. Logan Gilbert, despite all of his faults this year, has a career low in expected ERA and has a strikeout rate of 35% as a starter. It's a pretty good option for number 2.
I would say I'll take it. Just make sure those games are at home.
Yeah, yeah, for everybody except Wu. Maybe this is the case if the Mariners don't, if they win the division, start Brian Wu game 3.
That is actually a decent idea because try to minimize these guys pitching on the road. Actually, yes. I don't know how we didn't think about that until right now, but if that's the case, I would save Wu till game 3 and start him on the road.
Logan game 1, Kirby game 2, Wu game 3, and then pray for Castillo?
Or you just use 3 starters. Some teams do that.
Depends how much rest you get. Yeah, I guess it depends on everyone. I would say they'd probably piggyback instead of just straight 3 or 4 days rest for however that would be. But
yeah. You also are factoring in here the idea that the Mariners would have enough time to reslot their rotation. There's a chance they wouldn't be able to do that, and they're just going to have to go with who's ready and who's available on that day.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
But that's a good question. I love getting to talk about this stuff, and let's hope we can have a real discussion about it when they clinch a playoff spot.
I love getting to talk about it because that means the Mariners are relevant and they're doing the right things, and we are talking about potential playoff rotations, which is awesome.
Speaking of playoffs, our next mailbag question comes from Kyle, and Kyle's question is, this is on Patreon too, in our opinion, what would be the perfect playoff scenario for the Mariners, assuming they win the AL West?
Don't play that wild card round on the road, but yes, in this exercise, assuming they win the West. That is priority number 1, in my opinion. Not just winning the West, but do not go out on the road for that wild card series. Please.
So what's the scenario? Yeah.
It more becomes about which team do you most want to face. In other words, which team doesn't have a true ace. I know the Mariners have beat Skubal twice this year. I don't care. I do not want to see Tarek Skubal twice in a 5-game series. That sounds like a nightmare. I don't want to see Garrett Crochet twice in a 5-game series. That sounds like a nightmare. The Red Sox offense is also very good. I think if it were up to me, you would get to match up with the Yankees at home. Oh, no. Sorry. You win the West. I was about to talk about the wild card round. I would say it's to match up with the Yankees and the Blue Jays in the playoffs.
Really?
Sorry, not the Blue Jays. Astros, funny enough, which is funny because you don't usually want to see the Astros. But if it somehow slots up where you could win the AL West and the 2 rounds that you play in the postseason before the World Series, you see the Yankees and the Astros in some order, that's ideal. Because the reason I was originally thinking about the Blue Jays is, again, the idea that they don't have true aces, where with facing the Astros in the postseason, you do have to see Framber and Hunter Brown, potentially 4 of the 5 games. But the Astros have been so middling all year, and their bullpen is so banged up all of a sudden, and their whole team is so banged up, that some of that might offset, where I would say Yankees and the Astros would be the softest landing spots.
Instead of the Yankees, well, actually, let me just read you my bracket. I bracketed it out a little bit. I want the Mariners to have the 2 seed. I want that wild card series to be the Astros and the Tigers battling it out. whichever the teams wins. I'd rather play the Astros, to be honest, because I think their team would be the least talented in the playoff field. And then the Mariners beat the Astros, so they can get revenge on them in the DS. On the other side of the bracket, I want all three AL East teams to kick the crap out of each other, because those are three good teams. I was looking at it today, by the way, Lyle. They are all like very good at a lot of things. You know a team, this is going to come up in another mailbag question. You know a team I don't want to play in the postseason? The Red Sox.
Yeah, not at all.
No, I want no part of the Red Sox. And we'll get to that. It's a mailbag question about that. We'll get to that a little bit later. So dude, I don't want to see them. I want them losing on that other side of the bracket. And then the team I would want to come out of that scrum, actually, would be the Blue Jays.
Oh, you were about to tell me I was crazy. See, now I'm thinking about it more as we verbally process this.
I didn't look at my notes enough. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm verbally processing this more and thinking about the idea of having to face Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez 4 times in 5 games against the Astros. That doesn't sound like a fun matchup. That sounds like a potential disaster. And the Mariners having to get themselves into pitching battles, which I know in a lot of years you'd feel comfortable with, but with the bullpen being a little bit shaky and the Astros having all this postseason experience, and they just get Yordan back. Like, I know it's not the team it's been in years past, but it is still the Astros. It would be an Astros team with Yordan, and it would be an Astros team with Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez. Let me say this. The Toronto Blue Jays currently rank 20th in Major League Baseball in starters ERA. They don't really have a rotation.
Yeah. I would like to play them, but the odds are right now you're not going to get to match up with them in the wild card round. That seems unlikely. Or again, in the ALDS.
I would say win the West, and ideally the 2 teams you get to face are the Yankees, and you get the majority of those games at home. Hopefully the Yankees are a wild card team, and then you face the Blue Jays. Yankees. What's that?
I don't want to play the Yankees. I don't want to risk them not having the best player on the field. I know Aaron Judge chokes in the postseason, but I watched all 6 of those Yankee-Mariner games this year, Lyle. It was not pleasant. I don't care how much they've struggled. It was not pleasant.
I just don't think they're very good this year.
Well, neither are the Astros. And I can at least look at the Astros roster and say, outside of those 2 starting pitchers, I don't buy any of it.
Okay, but you know what the Yankees don't have? Garrett Cole, so you don't have to face him. And Max Fried has gone the wrong direction in the second half. I just don't think that team has it this year. I know you're afraid of the Yankees because of the name brand and because you'd have to play in the Bronx and because
I watched them play this. I watched the Mariners and Yankees play this year. It was not pretty.
I just look at the rest of the field and say, what 2 teams would I most want the Mariners to face off with and who would favor them in a matchup? If you just either intentionally walk Aaron Judge every at bat like we've talked about or just pitch around him, what is that team? Is a non-Aaron Judge Yankees lineup better or worse than the Astros lineup with Yordan back?
Better.
Still better?
Who said Yordan's going to be good?
Well, he did just hit a home run in his second game back,
But he was terrible before this year started, and he's got a long way to go to, like, put up enough numbers where I say, okay, he's back. And by the way, like, we can look at the playoff starter and be like, ooh, scary. The Mariners faced, I don't know if you remember this, Cy Young winner Justin Verlander in 2022 and proceeded to knock the crap out of him in Game 1 of the DS. That didn't matter at all.
I'd still rather face worse pitching.
I would too, but I'd rather face the worst team.
Aren't the Yankees and potentially Blue Jays the 2 worst teams, or are you putting the Astros? I mean, the Blue Jays by record are not, because the Blue Jays have a great offense and they have a pretty good bullpen.
I would say the Astros would be the worst team in this playoff field. Like, yeah, outside of those 2 starters, what scares you?
It's just the idea of still having a first 3 of Altuve, Yordan, Pena, but I guess the rest of that lineup's not much.
I'd rather play the Astros. Then I'd rather play the Blue Jays. I was wrong on my Blue Jays take, by the way. Again, I needed to look at my notes. The Blue Jays pitching staff is a real weak point. I think it might be the biggest weak point of the current playoff teams, period. Mm-hmm. And then, so that we've been talking about the American League, Lyle, there's only one answer for the National League.
In terms of what team you want in the World Series?
Yes.
I mean, if you're looking up and down the National League, I would say it's every team is so good in the NL. It's probably the Mets.
Thank you. Yes, it is the Mets. And why do I want it to be the Mets?
To see Frank absolutely melt down in a World Series matchup.
So that we can celebrate our World Series win with a Frank rant.
That sounds awesome. The problem is they are far and away the least likely team in the National League to win the pennant.
This is whatever we want, Lyle. It's a fantasy world.
It's true.
That was a good exercise. Thank you to Kyle for the question.
You know what? Maybe I'm wrong about the Blue Jays bullpen too. Earlier in the year they were really good. Now they're just middling as a bullpen.
It's a real weakness.
Yeah.
Remember what happened last time the Blue Jays had a lead against the Mariners and had their bullpen in there?
Oops.
Oops. Next question is from Rusty on Patreon, and Rusty's question is, when could we see these guys get to the big leagues? I will list all three of them out. Harry Ford, Cade Anderson, and Colt Emerson.
Harry Ford has every ability to be up right now. There's still a world he could get up in September. I don't know if that's the move the Mariners make, just because they might value having extra infielders more than another catcher. But I would say for Harry Ford, if it's not this year, he is going to be the backup catcher entering 2026. Garver's contract will be up. Unlikely he's back. The Mariners will roll with Harry Ford behind Cal Raleigh. Colt Emerson, my guess has been around the All-Star break of next year if everything goes right, so summer sometime in 2026. And Cade Anderson, it could range anytime from next July to summer of 2027.
So here's what I said. I said Harry Ford, the soonest would be September when the rosters expand. Cade, I honestly think the best shot for Cade is either opening day 2027 or May 2027. Either he gets a month to ramp back up in AAA or in AA in 2027, then gets called up, or he just straight up makes the rotation out of camp in 2027 going into the season. I don't think there's a chance he gets called up next year. I think next year is going to be, if I'm going to comp it to a current Mariners pitcher in the minors, I'm going to comp it to Logan Gilbert's 2019. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Logan went up 3 levels that year. He went from low A to high A to double A in one season. College arm, polished, lots of innings, and still went all the way up to double A, not rushing him. Finished the year in Arkansas. I think that's what they're going to do with Cade next year. I think he's going to split 50-50 between Everett and Arkansas, and he's going to finish his season, I don't know. If they innings limit him, he'll get to the end of the year. If they don't innings limit him, perhaps he'd be done in mid-August once he reaches his innings limit, and then you look forward to 2027 with him. Mm-hmm. And then Colt, July 2026. Circle it.
That's what we've both been saying. I think that's about right. That'll be close to a full year of high-level minor league baseball between AA and AAA. And by the way, as we sit here recording on Thursday, he just hit a homer. He has not looked phased in any way in AA. Defense has been great, quicker than he was as a prospect, hitting for more power, made some swing changes. I mean, get really excited about Colt Emerson. I certainly am. You are. And I think next summer is a very realistic timeline.
And if someone wants to rush him up, I would say patience. Unless he is doing what Juan Soto did in the minor leagues and slugs like 800 in AA, just take a deep breath, let him get some at-bats, let him play a year in AA, and then worry about calling him up. He is, right now, 20 years old. When he debuts next year in July as a 21-year-old, he will, like Cole Young, like Laz, be one of the youngest Mariners to ever debut. No need to rush.
By the way, Colt Emerson's birthday is July 20th.
Sounds like a great birthday present.
There is a world, people, where he'd be right up against the clock, but he could debut still being 20 years old. He could debut before his 21st birthday. So, yes, to TJ's point, I'm sure there's going to be points next year where Colt's inevitably lighting it up in the minor leagues, and we're going to start getting a lot of questions about, where's Colt Emerson? Call up Colt Emerson. It's time to bring up Colt Emerson. Let's make sure they get it right, and he is as ready as humanly possible before they call him up. Like Cole Young, because look what's happened with Cole Young after they developed him the right way and established patience with him. It's worked. Yeah. He's been productive as a rookie.
And Colt he played Emerson, a full season in Double-A.
Right. And Colt Emerson's ceiling is higher than what Cole Young's is, which is saying a lot because Cole Young's had a really nice rookie year. So let's be patient.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to use Julio as a comparison in Arkansas. He did only play 46 games in Arkansas in 2021. Split between Everett, and Arkansas that year. Colt will play more in Arkansas than Julio did.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get to our next, second to last mailbag question. This comes from David on Patreon, and the question is, I would consider, he says, the Red Sox to be the most complete and dangerous team in the American League playoff race. Would you agree? My answer, yes. No part of the Red Sox. I want nothing to do with them. If they match up in a series with the Mariners, good luck.
They're pretty sound on all three phases of the baseball at this point. If you want to try and pinpoint where their weak link could be, it's probably the same place people have pointed out with the Red Sox for a bit now throughout most of the year, which I guess would be the rotation. The difference is, even when you get past Garrett Crochet, who's obviously a complete ace in his own right, the emergence of Brian Bayo this year has made that team extremely dangerous. Brian Bayo's got a sub-3 ERA as we're sitting here recording this podcast and has taken some major steps forward. So just like the idea of seeing Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez 4 or 5 times in a 5-game set in the playoffs, if the Mariners saw the Red Sox in the DS, you would have to see Crochet and Bayo 4 or 5 times. That doesn't sound all that fun. And then you get to their bullpen, which has been absolutely lights out, headlined by Aroldis Chapman, which is a little bit of an eye roll because he's not the most likable guy in the world, to say the least, but he objectively on the baseball field has been unprecedented over the last month and a half. He's barely given up a hit.
He's got an ERA of 1.04 for the season.
And in the last month, it's even more ridiculous than that. Have you seen what he's done in the last month alone?
What is it?
I mean, if you just look at his splits, in the month of August, Aroldis Chapman has a 0 ERA. He has given up a total of 0 hits in the month of August.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't want any part of that. And when you talk about well-rounded, listen to this. So the Red Sox as a team this year, 5th in ERA, 4th in runs scored, 6th in steals, 5th in base running run value on both Fangraphs and Baseball Savant, and they're 5th in fielding run value as a team.
Yeah.
They have a guy in Ceddanne Rafaela who is a plus glove at short and in center. This dude makes some of the most ridiculous catches in the world I've ever seen in center. They have Duran in the outfield. They have Wilyer Abreu in the outfield. They have Roman Anthony in the outfield. I mean, this is a team that, they have Alex Bregman, their highest paid player. This is a team that traded away their best player and still is this stacked.
Yeah. Roman Anthony, by the way, at 20 years old, or I'm sorry, he debuted at 20. At 21 years old, maybe he debuted by age 21. Point being, extremely young, he's already playing like a superstar. He was the number 1 prospect in baseball entering this year. He's already playing like a superstar. So, offense is really dangerous. They have 2 dominant starters. Lucas Giolito, if you need a third, has actually had a really nice resurgent year this year. And then there are 5 main guys in that bullpen. The 5 guys they've used the most this year all have sub-3 ERAs. The Red Sox, I'm with you, would not be a fun team to match up with. I don't want any part of that team.
No. I don't know, where do the Mariners have an advantage?
I don't know. Maybe on offense?
Maybe. The Red Sox offense has outproduced them, though.
Yeah, it has. I just look at some of their positions, and it's not perfect. Carlos Narvaez as a catcher has been fine. They don't really have a first baseman. They picked up Nathaniel Lowe off waivers. They
had Abe. They could have.
That's true.
Could have been our Trojan horse.
Trevor Story's not lighting the world on fire with his bat. He's had a better year this year, but he's not lighting it up. So there are still weak spots in that order. Rafaela, for example, he's not some great hitter. He's a great defender, not a great hitter. So the Mariners might have a deeper lineup than the Red Sox. Rotations are close. They don't really have an ace the way Crochet is. Like, Wu is really good, Logan is really good, and Logan can be an ace when he's at his best. But this year, they don't have somebody to match up with Crochet. So the rotations are close. The bullpens are not. The Mariners might have 3 really good bullpen arms, but the Red Sox bullpen is better.
And the Red Sox are probably a better base running team overall, I would say.
Yeah.
More speed.
Yeah.
Let's get to our last mailbag question. Thank you for that question, David. That was a good experiment. Final question here from Robert on Patreon. And the question is, we've seen several shaking outings from Munoz lately. Do we see any underlying numbers that reflect why that's happening?
One big one. It's the walks. Andres Munoz's profile is near perfect in almost every category. The one thing that jumps out, which is what's made him much different than that 2022 season, is the walk rate. He gives up more base on balls these days than he did in previous years. And right now, I believe his walk rate is at a career low. To just confirm that, it is. It was a little bit lower last year. Similar. But the point being is it's the walks. Now, his hard hit rate's not in a great spot this year either, and that may be the biggest difference. But those two things are what jumps out.
In the last month, his contact rate has shot up too. He hasn't been missing quite as many bats. Like that's an issue when your command is a little spotty and you're giving up some more contact, and we know he's not great at holding base runners. So you combine all of those things, that leads to some traffic on the base paths. Now, I'll say he still has prevented runs among the best in all of baseball, which is great. But it's not been perfect. It has not been the most comfortable I felt watching Andres Munoz. I'll tell you, Lyle, every day I miss 2022 Andres Munoz. It was literally like the of relievers. It's like the chef's kiss.
Yeah, that was nuts. There was nothing to really pinpoint about Munoz that year. That year, his walk rate by Baseball Savant was in the 80th percentile of the league. He threw a ton of strikes.
Ton of swing and miss. He didn't have blow-up outings ever, and his strikeout rate was in the elite category. It's still very good. It is not as good as it was back then. Like, you felt when he came in back then, they're not touching him. Now it's like, when he's on, they're not touching him. But it's not the peak Edwin Diaz, peak Andres Munoz level of threatening, shutdown, overwhelmingness.
And part of that is because he's added some more pitches between the kick change and the sinker. Those run a lot, so it sometimes leads to more baseballs off the plate. It's the same idea with Matt Brash. His stuff is so disgusting that you can't always perfectly pinpoint where it's going.
Yeah.
So that is part of what's led to the walk rate, the heavier walk rate. The hard hit rate, yeah, that's gone down a little bit this year in the wrong direction. Hopefully in the last month, him and Brash both have some more clean innings leading into October because they could really use it.
And they can help our heart rates out a little bit. Because I'll tell you what, guys, I'm still really struggling to trust the bullpen. It's hard. Like that finale against the Padres, I was sweating. Gino hits the home run, great. As soon as Wu comes out.
Yeah. Again, Edward Bizardo's done a lot of nice things this year, and he deserves a lot of praise. The fact he's been used as much as he has and been effective is awesome. But I will stand on the same stance that you and I both had all year. He should not be throwing in leverage. That is, if Edward Bizardo's throwing in leverage, your bullpen's not deep enough. He is an awesome middle reliever. He should not be a leverage guy.
And unfortunately, there's no help coming, really, besides Emerson Hancock, who we have not seen throughout of the bullpen yet at the big league level.
Well, he just got called up.
I know. There's nothing for certain we can say is going to help right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. If Emerson puts together like 10 outings where he looks unbelievable,
yeah,
great.
Which, speaking of the bullpen, we do have one more mailbag question. It came from Luke. I don't think we've done this one yet. And Luke said for the last mailbag question, if you were the front office, or he phrases it, if you were Jerry DiPoto, would the bullpen look different tomorrow? Who would you call up? Who would you send down? Which, on that note, I think Emerson Hancock was the big one, and they just got him up here. Aside from that, eventually I think putting Bryce Miller in the bullpen would be great. If Logan Evans gets healthy, putting him in the bullpen as a bulk guy would be great come postseason time. But other than that, I don't think there's any other relievers in the minors that really are going to provide the necessary punch that they need the rest of the year. I was looking at some of the Double-A guys. There's guys like Charlie Bylinson, who's had some nice spurts, but probably isn't ready yet. There's a couple others that you could pinpoint, but there's nobody that just far and away jumps out.
There's no one in the minors who's better than what you currently have.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Like
it's not making you better.
Right. Like Tyler Cleveland, for example, who is a friend of the pod and a guy we're certainly rooting for and has had some nice success he's had some nice success since he's been in Double-A, but he's not really striking anybody out right now. So to be in a big league bullpen, you're going to have to miss bats, and that's probably something Tyler Cleveland will have to do more of next year before they call him up. So that one's probably not an option this second. Remember there was some buzz around. Remember Michael Hobbs, the dude with the Raleigh fingers mustache, and there was buzz around him earlier in the year. His whips jumped up pretty high, and I don't think he quite has the strikeout rate either. So same idea. I don't think there's anybody in the minors that really could be called up.
And I don't trust Gregory Santos.
No.
If he got healthy, I don't.
No. That's a 2026 thing at this point.
Yeah, we've seen 2 years of not being able to trust Gregory Santos, even if somehow he is healthy by season's end. First of all, I guess technically since he pitched in April, he could be on the postseason roster, but I don't trust him. I've not seen it.
Would you take him over anybody in this bullpen currently? Would you take him over Vargas?
Him and Vargas feel pretty similar.
Okay. So that's fair. But then again, if your idea in the postseason is you're going to have the main five relievers in Munoz, Brash, Spire, Ferguson, Bizzardo, and then you get Emerson Hancock in there, because in the postseason you'll get 9 relievers because you only really need to have 4 activated starters. So, that's not true, because if you have all 5 activated, one of them will be in the bullpen. So never mind. You'd have 8.
I would rather have Emerson Hancock than Gregory Santos in the bullpen.
Yeah, I would too.
I've seen Emerson Hancock strike out a batter this season.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, if you have the main 5 relievers, and then you add Emerson, and then you add
Bryce,
and then potentially Logan Evans, that could be your whole bullpen. Now, if it's not going to be Logan Evans and either he's injured or they don't want to put him in the bullpen in the playoffs, then you have to pick one more guy to put back there. Okay. But you're right. Santos probably doesn't replace anybody.
No, not at this point. Not when he hasn't pitched all year.
Right.
No, I'm good.
It's fair. Good mailbag questions, though, as always. Good batch of them. I thought they were really fun. So shout out to you guys. You always bring it. If you want mailbag priority, go sign up for our Patreon, you guys. Patreon.com/MarineLayerPod. It's over at our website, too. And you get guaranteed answer mailbag questions whenever you send them in. So go get involved. We'd love to have you.
And we appreciate the support, guys, so very much. I love how everyone's looking forward to the postseason.
I know.
I'm loving it.
Don't blow it.
Yet to grace the postseason on this podcast.
Don't blow it. Don't choke. Please. Please and thank you. Yeah. For the love of God, do not have another disastrous road trip. They cannot afford it.
No.
Yeah.
This is the tough one. Well, this is the tough length one. The next one will actually be tougher. If they fuck up this road trip.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be all nice and dandy on the podcast if they're fucking up the road trip.
They're playing some not good teams on this trip. There should not be an if.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure we'll be happy-go-lucky if they do.
God, help us.
All right. That just about wraps up this edition of the Marine Layer Podcast. You guys know the drill. If you want to listen to the full-form podcast, you can do so wherever you get your audio pods. Make sure to rate and review, you guys. Please go download these episodes. Leave a 5-star review. It really does help us out, and we want to read all these Apple Podcast reviews that you guys are going to send in. So keep sending them in. We'd love to read them. Seriously. Get creative with them, too. But leave 5 stars. Like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube. Hitting the subscribe button helps the channel so much, so please just take a second to hit subscribe. Everything to keep up with us is over at our website. Go get your merch. Keep wearing your merch around the park. We love seeing it. We know people are buying it. We'd love to see even more of you guys get involved with it and wearing it around. It's awesome. You can go sign up for our Patreon. Check our live show schedule. That's all over at our site, marinelayerpod.com. And then you can follow us all across social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube Shorts. We're on Facebook too now, at Marine Layer Pod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.